Peace, peace, peace. Peace to all of the living. It is I, unapologetically QI, entering the building. Today, we're going to talk about someone who recently passed, hip hop mogul Afrika Bambaataa. Now, for those of you who may not know Bambaataa, those of you who may be of a younger age, Afrika Bambaataa, born Lance Taylor in 1957, was a pioneer of the hip hop founding Universal Zulu Nation in 1970 and releasing landmark tracks like Planet Rock. We all know Planet Rock. They just don't stop. Everybody knows that, at least from my era. But his career included roles as a DJ, producer, and cultural ambassador. And what we mean by ambassador, he was one of the pioneers that started like hip hop and that, promoted hip hop, was a hip hop movement. Starting in 2016, multiple men alleged that Bambaataa violated them as children in the 1880s when they were teenagers. One of the victims was Ronald B. Singer Savage. He says that Bambaataa violated him repeatedly around 1980 when Savage was 15 and Bambaataa was 23. Those events, and in here it says, if true, predate New York's 1980 90s SOL. And that's the statute of limitation. And that's one of the things that we have to give to Ronald Savage because of his effortless um, fight to get justice. Because he said that, that situation that Bambaataa took him through ruined his life. And me, as a survivor of two um, two men, one who faced justice and one who didn't. I definitely understand both plights. And, it does have a great impact on your life. It's something that you can't change, you can't help. It interferes with, your intimate romantic life. It can even interfere with your family dynamics, down to and including your children, where you may become overprotective because of like what you had gone through. Another accuser, and we have to say accuser because Afrika Bambaataa was never brought to justice. In fact, and I guess let me tell you the other accuser before I move on to that. The other accuser was Hassan Campbell. YouTuber Hassan Campbell, son of Black Muslim minister, later told media he was violated by Bambaataa at age 12 to 13 in mid 80s. He has not fled, filed lawsuit, or pressed charges publicly. And I was like a top supporter when that story came out of Hassan's. And, because a lot of people were questioning why wasn't he doing anything about it, even Ronald Savage, B. Stinger. And there, a lot of people were even, claiming that, he liked it and that they were lovers and stuff like that. But, I was a heavy supporter because, it's not often, and I'm not going to, it doesn't weigh any different Um, because it's hard either way to come out and to, tell. Either way, whether you're a girl or a boy, it's hard to tell. But, for a boy to be violated by a man, I would just think that that would be even harder. And vice versa, I guess for a girl to be violated by a woman, I don't know, it probably would be as hard because that's a whole different dynamics. But um Hassan pretty much stated that because of, Hassan worked for Bambaataa and Zulu Nation. He was a security guard, and he also stated that they did a lot of dirt together. And he stated that because of the dirt, like all he wanted to do was come out and tell the truth. But, in terms of, filing a lawsuit and making it legal, he didn't want to do that. So, I guess you have to just sort of understand that. And that's Hassan's story. But after the allegations came out, Bambada, on several interviews or whatever, uh, he would deny claims, and he would act like, pretty much they were doing that because of his fame or whatever. But in June of let me see, of 2016, June of 2016, Afrika Bambaataa issued an apology letter, wishing that he had responded better to Hassan and Ronald Savage. And even after Bambaataa passed, there were more victims who, like wanted to speak out. But as a lot of people stated, when you had your chance to, come forward when it would have made a difference, like Ron Savage, in which we're going to salute because of him, the statutory of limitation has been extended. And that's what gave precedence and gave way to Cassie and a lot of the celebrities who went and filed those lawsuits and filed those claims with the state of New York. It was the fact that the statute of limitation had been extended. So we have to like honor Ron Savage. But here's the thing. I feel badly for the victims because, I mean, you get a little at ease when you find out that, I'm sure that when they found out that Bambaataa had passed. However, there's nothing like justice. There's nothing like hearing an apology. There's nothing like, knowing that somebody did you wrong, knowing that somebody ruined your life, knowing that, you know, because, they went on about Bambaataa went on about his life, just like, the person who didn't serve justice with me, like, went on about their life while I myself, was going through the turmoil of the effects, the psychological effects. Because of what happened to me, I have post traumatic stress disorder. And like I said, I'm always in for fight. Um, Basically, in my situation, the man who served time, I came, I told on him first. After I told on him, the other man who did not face any time and was never brought to court, um, basically threatened me. And so I was afraid to tell. I ended up getting a job in mental health. And I ended up doing a lot of lectures, a lot of, speaking engagements and things. And a part of my speaking engagement was to tell my own story and how I obtained post traumatic stress disorder. And, because of that, and even in like, um, peer sessions or group therapies and different things, because of my willingness and my comfortableness to tell my story, it was always multiple victims coming out. I mean, you would be amazed at how many people that have become adults that didn't feel comfortable or either told their story, and a lot of people didn't take them seriously, or you know you know who never got to tell their story. And so they were living with that dark secret. And I have to be the first to say that once I started speaking out, it lifted that dark cloud where, it made me feel a lot better. It made me feel a lot, better. It's like when you don't have to hold that secret. And so, like I've been speaking out ever since, and I'm very comfortable, and I'm glad, to share my story to help other people who may have gone through those situations as well. And like I said, you'll be amazed. It's a lot because everybody doesn't get to tell their story. Everybody doesn't feel comfortable telling their story because sometimes your family will turn on you. That wasn't my case. The second person I just never told on, but that wasn't my case. But that was just um, I don't know. The person psychologically manipulated me because I wasn't afraid of the person because even at the age of 12 and 13, because I used to fight this person. Even my cousin witnessed a fight, and she was like, "Whoa," because this was a big guy, and I'm a small 12, 13 year old, and I ruined him. I ruined him, and all I remember is seeing red. And my cousin, she was so she was almost in fear of me, like whoa, like I was like some kind of monster or something. And but that's what I'm saying, because a lot of times all of that internal anger and stuff is buried within you, and if you never get a chance to release it or whatever, it stays within you. That's what I mean, it has an impact. And even though like I fought, and even though you know um I talk about it, still to this day it has an effect on me, so much to the point where I can almost, without knowing any history about somebody or whatever, I could pretty much predict, or I could see when a person is a possible uh abuser. It's just some traits, it's some red flags. And generally, like when somebody might raise their voice, or you know or act um to me in that manner, generally, I get triggered and the red flags go off. You might hear the change in my voice. However, I do have pretty good coping skills where, I don't immediately go off. But if they keep pushing, as most predators do, uh, then they'll see that other side. And so, me knowing this, a lot of times I've learned to, not always, and I fear sometimes myself. I fear the moment that I don't get a grip, wake up before I do something wrong, crazy or wrong. Because like I said, I used to fight, and I used to see red, and it was, damaging. I used to damage people that were much bigger than me that I should have never been able to damage. But I say all of this to say that, I feel really badly for Run, B Stinger, Savage, and I feel really badly for Hassan Campbell and any other victim of Bambatas who never got to bring him to justice, who never got to hear him apologize for what he done, not apologize for not responding the correct way. Um, because, like I said, that does a lot. That you carry that for your whole life. It might become a little easier, but it's never better. That's something you have to consistently work on. That's something that never goes away. So, the title states that the black community, because we know that within the black or the black community, because I'm not African American, but within the black community or the melanated community, that a lot of times these things are swept under the rug. These days we've heard about a lot of, stories when it deals with the church. These days we've heard a lot of stories when it deals with, and most of the time it's somebody that, the family intimately knows, or the family knows, or whatever. Um, and in a lot of ways, because like with Bambata, he was worshipped, especially in the New York area. So even today, I hear like a lot of, especially males or whatever, they're like, well, I can't take away, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had like that hip hop, or that 1980s sound, or we wouldn't have rap music today. So I'm just like, I ask myself the question: which one weighs more important, or more significant? Is it the safety and the overall future health and well-being of the next generation, the children, or you know, uh, that Bambata's involvement, because he didn't do it by himself either, in the hip hop industry, does that hold more power, or more concern, or more care, or more significance within the black community? Just like in most churches, because it might be a deacon, pastor, bishop, or something of that nature. A lot of times, the families, they don't act on it. They just like tell the child to hush, or uncle or something, because of the embarrassment or whatever, or whatever role that the uncle may play. They might just tell that child has to live with that. That child has to, they might say, well, don't go back there in the room with Johnny. Not to go back there in the room with Johnny, Uncle Johnny. But at the same time, and my person was named Johnny. That's just an example, a random name. But I like, um, and they ultimately almost blame the victims, for what happened to them. Just like with some girls, they may say, "Oh, you just fast. That's what you get for wearing these little short skirts around. And don't you never sit on a man's lap, or don't do this, or don't wander off with a man." They're almost ultimately blaming that child. But at the same time, there's not a lot of pre-education. It takes something like that to happen before they look at the fact that this person that you worship, could be this person. And then even after you find out, because of the fact that y'all don't raise awareness of that person's predatory behaviors, or because y'all don't do anything, that person goes on to accumulate a lot of other victims. And that's bad and sad. So basically, I'm looking at this Africa Bambaataa thing as, is this an example of how the black community basically has a blind spot for, children who are victims of SA. So y'all, like, tell me what y'all think about that. Feel free to leave a comment. What do y'all think, if there are some possible solutions within our communities, if you think there should be any? I know lately, people have been speaking out a lot more, but we always see that within our community, most of the time the victims get, bashed. A lot of victim bashing. I'm I've almost never seen, I'm gonna be honest with you, other than in a mental health environment, I've never seen where a victim gets the type of support that's necessary, because it takes a lot of support, because at that young age you don't understand a lot, and especially a lot that adults assume that you should understand. You don't know anything about that. All you know is that this person told you to do something that didn't feel right, or this person did something that didn't feel right. And this person threatened and told you not to tell for whatever reason that they give. And so, as a child, a lot of times you fear, just like in my situation, it was like, if you tell, it's going to be a world of trouble. I didn't even know what a world of trouble meant, but it was like a world of trouble. So I'm sitting there scared about a world of trouble because I'm too young to understand or comprehend. I was too young to comprehend and understand what was happening to me, what I had gone through, and, what was happening. But at any rate, we have to do better because we are like children are the next generation. And if we're messing up their mental health, if we're messing up, you know, uh, if we're making them feel unsafe, if we're almost putting them in a situation to like where, they may not feel like life is worth pursuing, life is not worth continuing, then what are we doing? Do we care about uh, future Black generations? Do we care about the Black community? So, that's pretty much my message. And like I said, feel free to leave a comment. Um, Please, by all means, like and share this video. Um, and like I said, my heart goes out to Ronald Savage, especially. I like to salute that brother, and we all should salute him, especially in the state of New York, where he helped expand or increase the statute of limitation. And my heart goes out to Hassan Campbell as well. We should salute him as well for just coming out and telling his story as well, especially as a male, with both of them being men. So, like, until next time, peace, love, hair grease, and all that good stuff. And it is I, unapologetically QI, exiting the building. And forgive my little tongue flip flops. I hadn't had enough coffee, but peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. I am exiting the building and I'm out.